Welcome to the Alkalign Lifestyle School. I am your guide today, Fidelis Nova II, and today we'll be learning about sexual repression and the repercussions of it, the causes of it, but the negative effects of it. Because I believe in this modern time right now that this is driving the world to polarity in a way of separation. And it's dividing us as a whole. And it's almost like we forgot that we all came here because of sex. So it's not a taboo thing anymore. You have to actually got to speak about this. It's just like talking about money. You know, people complain that they don't have any money and they don't talk about it. They don't talk about how to get more. They don't talk about how to, have more, do more, right? Well, same thing in terms of sex. People talk about not having sex. And there's many people who, you'll see that they suffer in relationships from a lack, literally, a lack of sex in a relationship. And this is where I'm break it down and to where there's a few causes, but I'll talk about the main cause at the end, and that's going to be association. So first, we're going to start off and we're going to say the first cause, and here's where these can be both sides, all right? But really, it's going to be causes, and then you're going to have effects. So the first topic, first category we'll talk about is self-esteem. In terms of sexual repression, what does self-esteem, how is it a cause, and also how is it effect? Well, again, it's two sides to everything. So if you have low self-esteem, I guarantee you don't have a lot of sex, men or women. And just because you don't feel like you're worthy of having a physical touch, physical intimacy, you don't feel pretty enough, aesthetically you don't feel beautiful enough. You can be the most handsome man. You can be the most beautiful, sexiest woman. But if you don't have any self-esteem, you don't feel like you're deserving or like you're worthy of having someone in your physical space, energetic space, intimate touch. You don't feel like you need any affection, deserve any affection. And as a result, you never ask for it and you never have it. Now, it also can be a difference in where you have a lot of self-esteem, right? And you may be a person that overdoes it. See, there's two sides to this. You have to find a neutral place inside of it, where some men and women both, right? They think that promiscuity is a sign of I'm sexy, but it's not. It's mostly you're running from something that you needed to do or needed to say or need to confront. And because of the lack of courage that you showed in facing that thing, you decided to form an addiction that came to promiscuity. So you'll see people who they degrade the women who have the OnlyFans, right? They'll degrade the pornography actors and things like that, right? But when you stop to look at it, it's also a sign of jealousy because they would like to have more intimacy with their partners or, in their relationship, but they're seeing it as a morality issue because it's all based upon subjectivity. So in the Western world, in the United States, in California especially, you'll see that freedom, right? People are saying that it's sexual expression, and I mean, you go to West Hollywood, you see a lot of gays, LGBTQ and things of that nature. And look, everyone has their own, they'll have their own opinion on how these things work. But when you see someone who's truly purified from the inside out, they don't have an insatiable desire to, not only is it that they have to be seen or that they have to be confirmed as a beautiful person, they don't have to have that. They can have a person that confirms them, but they already have that confirmation within themselves. So when you're actually a truly sexually powerful person and you have the right amount of self-esteem, which is infinite self-esteem, meaning if you walked along a beach, understand that the beach is the best place for you to be skin open, skin showing, because of the vitamin D. It comes from the sun, because of the effect that the sand has on your kidneys and on your circulation, on your blood flow. It brings more oxygen to your body. You understand that just by you being more free, more trusting of yourself, that right amount of self-esteem that you have the right amount of, obviously, sex that comes into your experience. When you're repressed sexually, and here's how I'm going to define this as sexual repression, it's basically you're walking around at every moment in time with the possibility for an orgasm. It doesn't have to come from a physical ejaculation, in terms of men, semen ejaculation, or women. It doesn't have to come from a physical thing. It's coming to you all the time. And this was a concept that was taught by Wilhelm Reich. He talks about as the orgasm, the energy of the orgasm. So he said the function of the orgasm. A person cuts themselves off from love. And because of that, because they repress themselves from receiving love from the atmosphere, from all around, at every moment in time, point in space, then they're walking around and they're repressed and they're armored. So think about it in terms of self-esteem. When you walk out and you have a low level of self-esteem, you don't feel like you're deserving because it's almost like you're guarding yourself towards being too good. I can't be that good. I can't say I'm that great because, or I can't have this thing because, and so you start to see yourself in places and spaces that you should be, but you find a way to repress or stop yourself from doing the thing because you feel like you don't fit. And so in the case of sex, you can use sex for manifestation. But that's the thing. If you're not trying to create anything because you don't feel the need to have that thing, or like you're worthy of that thing in terms of your self-esteem, because self-esteem, look at self-esteem as you can't outlast the limits of your own self-image, because your self-image is actually a projection out into the screen of space of your future self, which should be you living that future self right now. So if you have a projection of a future self that does not qualify with your subconscious mind, those habits will never be formed for you to make that self-image and that vision of yourself a reality. And that's because you don't have enough self-esteem. You don't have enough belief inside yourself. So think about it in terms of sex. You can go to the gym, be the most handsomest, be the most sexiest, have the most beautiful body, man or woman. But if you don't feel like you deserve to have that partner that comes in to complete everything, that soulmate that really comes in to give you that divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, so it can unite with your yin or your yang, or if you feel like you don't deserve to have it, you'll never have it. And that's where self-esteem comes into place. So the higher your self-esteem, obviously, you're gonna go get more sex. But it's not about just being able to go find multiple partners. Like do the Will Chamberlain thing. He talks about he had 10,000 women he slept with. You don't want foolishness like that, because you're opening up portals each time as you go to have sex with a woman or with a man. So you're basically downloading their history into your own energetic field. If you want to go in to do all that, then no problem. But I guarantee you're going to have a busy mind. And I don't know if that mind is going to be conducive for you to go to a process to achieve your goals, to reach your destiny. So the first step is for you to have the right amount of self-esteem. The right amount of self-esteem will enable you to release that repression. And you'll stop doing this where you have a tension and an anxiety and you have a feeling of you have to feel like you're just shielding yourself. You'll put the picture out on social media. You'll post the picture. Whether you're in this suit, whatever, it don't matter. You'll put the video. You don't care. Because you don't care about the repercussions that come from it. Because you have so much self-esteem and so much courage and you believe in yourself so much that you want people to see the freedom that comes from you just giving an SS no fucks. That's what that means. So you need to have high self-esteem. That's step number one. High self-esteem. High self-esteem gets you a better sexual relationship, essentially. all right? And so the effects of low self-esteem, it's not only, I'll say it's isolation. So the effects of low self-esteem, you're just gonna be isolated. You're gonna be by yourself. You won't even find a way to go ask on a date. You're just gonna be by yourself. And not anybody deserves to be by themselves unless they choose to do that. And some people choose to do that. But I'm just telling you, it's not healthy. We're gonna keep on going. So psychological effects of sexual repression, mood swings, and depression. Okay, so this is an obvious thing. You go into a relationship, you probably have a relationship right now, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, and wife, right? Partner in some way, some sort of capacity. And you come back home and they're just on edge, or they just don't have any patience, or whatever you say, it doesn't matter if it's a big thing, a small thing, they escalate it into like a volcanic eruption. That's a result of sexual repression. And if you understand that most men, on average, are deprived, sexually deprived, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but they're deprived because it's almost like they're begging for attention, sexual attention, and they can't get it. They can't receive it from their partnership. So they may go find it somewhere else. I've seen it firsthand. I've dealt with it firsthand. I've had my first 2 girlfriends were actually lesbian, unknowingly. I didn't know prior, but and they're both beautiful. They're both amazingly beautiful people, but they probably didn't even know. But what was it that was causing them to be more in a masculine sense of energy? It was probably because I wasn't in a masculine way. I was enabling myself to settle and to not have sex. I was enabling myself to say, well, it's fine, it's okay, they're tired, right? And so, okay, I just made every excuse not to say I need to step up to have this, even though I know I needed it. Because listen, even just physically, men need it. Men, you need to understand that you do need to have sex. You do need to, on average, ejaculate multiple times in the month's time. You don't need to be sitting there, and I get it. I get the semen retention stuff. I understand that. I'm not saying that you need to go and release your seeds all over the place. I'm not saying that. There's a way for you to actually take that semen and retain that semen and send it from the base of your spine to the top of your head. That's also releasing of Kundalini energy. That's the proper way for you to do it. You can do a sequence of what's called a sequence of 9. So if you have 9 breaths and also 9, if you're having sex, okay, next time you have sex, try this. If you have a sequence of 9, where you have 9 breaths, you have to relax yourself, because if you can align your breath with the actual sexual act, first of all, it's going to allow you to last much longer, but also it's going to allow you to, instead of ejaculating outwardly, you do it inwardly. You take that energy, you shoot it back up into your head. That's how you have an orgasm in your brain that now allows you to light this up. And now you get an instant connection. So when you see people speak about tantric and tantra, that just means a connection to the one, like to the whole. So you're connected to the whole. So whenever you have sex, whenever you enter into a woman's vagina, you then are going into a portal that now allows you to connect to the whole. So back to mood. And the reason why people come home, and I'm telling you, this is what causes billion-dollar divorces. This is the thing right here. It's sex. Everything is run by sex. If we don't have sex, we don't have a planet. Plants have sex. Animals have sex. There's masculine and feminine. There's polarities and everything. In a plant, the stem is the masculine, and when you see the leaves that are expansive and expressive, that's the feminine. So when you see the concepts, literally, it's in everything. It's ingrained in us that we need to have that. Men don't go out to go get $1 million mansions and $100 billion success to go impress other men. That's not. No, that's not it. Men do not do that to go impress other men. They do that to go find the best mate that they possibly can. And if they weren't a bodybuilder, or if they weren't a, superhero looking type of individual, they have to do it a different way. So you'll see that the majority of men, and this is just what I've seen, what I've noticed, they have men that go above and beyond to collect material things, outward assets, so that they can go to therefore impress the woman. But listen, men, the women can have bags, cars, trucks, Rolls Royces, thousands of dollars, bands, and all whatever they want, they can have that. That's a guarantee. That's not essentially, I believe, what they want. I believe that they want someone who makes them feel pleasure, makes them feel some joy, makes them feel some happiness. But they can't do that unless they have a release in terms of tension and sex. They need to have sex too. And most women in this day and age are also sexually repressed. So in terms of mood swings, you see that the anger and the rage and the angry women, that's mainly coming from sexual repression. If you had more women who had more great sex, who had more, first of all, healthy immune systems and healthy systems to have sex in the first place, you would not see so many podcasts talking about, women aren't surrendering and all that. You wouldn't see all that stuff. If y'all just had sex and y'all just allowed yourself to experience the pleasure from that sexual experience, there would not be so much turmoil and tumultuous chaos that you see going on in the world right now today. So depression, it can start not only mood swings, but it can also affect depression. Now, men really suffer from this because this also goes up to self-esteem. When you can't seem to bag a lady, when you can't seem to go, get someone into bed with you, you're gonna feel like you're not worthy of something. You're gonna feel like you're not worthy of having it, especially men who are married. Men who are married, they have a wife, but the wife refuses or, finds a way to almost like, it's like a chore. And it's almost like a shame whenever they say, hey, I'm attracted to you all the time and I would love to have sex. Some women just don't have the energy. And so this is where the misalignment comes in. If you were aligned at all points in time and points in space, and you always were attracted to the person that was with, not saying that you're not gonna have an argument or a fight or there's something, you're not gonna 100% of the time always think this person is wonderful. I get that. But the majority of your time, you're gonna feel in an attraction sense to this person, to this energy that's across from you. You have to get all of the barriers and the distractions out of your way. When you can do that, once you can do that, then you can actually have a harmonious relationship. But you need to have sex. Because if you're coming home at nighttime from work, from a long day at work, and your wife, is tired or uninterested in you, it's gonna make you feel some type of way. You're gonna begin to pull yourself back, and you're gonna begin to think, I need to go find something else. Because I just need to get this release. And I was hoping that this person would do it for me or provide me the affection, but they're not doing that. So now you're starting to question your own ego, start to feel a lot smaller in your own household. And so that's where a lack of sex in terms of the exchange and the free exchange can really cause a depression. Same thing with women. You may have a child, you may, get out of shape, in your opinion, even though it's a natural occurrence for you to gain weight because you're having a little one. But if you don't return back to whom you were, psychologically, because you start to feel a certain type of way about your body and aesthetically, and if you don't change it, if you don't take care of your self-care, get back into the shape that you want to be in, start to do it where you're not a victim of it. You're looking at yourself like this person doesn't like me or is not attracted to me, well, it's just you are attracted to yourself. So if you focus on making yourself attracted to yourself, then everyone else will desire you the way you desire you. So it's not anybody else's fault, it's just your fault. Focus on, again, aesthetically pleasing yourself, feeling good inside your own body, eating right, circadian rhythm, sleeping right, following the true pathway of the nature of the actual planet, of the actual earth, and you'll see that it can get different sexual energy that comes out of you, you know. So sleep disturbances, we call this like a busy mind. You'll have like obsessive thought process. You'll just be busy. It's just busyness. But this is where you can't turn your mind off because again, this has to have a release of sexual tension and you're being repressed. Repressed means you have to actually stop yourself from seeing something, from experiencing something. You have to hold attention inside of your body the entire time. So you may actually be doing a sexual act and you can't even feel the sexual act because you're so constricted and you're contracting your muscles and your body so much because your self-esteem is telling you that you don't deserve, you aren't worthy of receiving pleasure in any way, shape, or form. Sex counts as pleasure. So you basically can't get any sleep. You can't go from beta to alpha to theta to delta. There's no way because you'll be sitting there, your mind can't turn off. And men have this issue too. Athletes, you'll see these athletes with 4, 5, 6, almost 9, 10 kids, something like that. And you're wondering why do they have this? It's not an ADHD response. Don't listen to all this stuff. People that say, oh, you know, hypersexuality is an ADHD response. There's no such thing as that. Because first of all, ADHD, all the attention deficit disorder, there's no deficit of attention. You have no deficit of attention at all, period. You have a busy mind that cannot locate one thing. You're just doing like this the entire time. And you can't sit yourself and sit still. That's it. Once you can understand that you can be still and know who you really are, all that stuff can go away. But that's also due to a lack of hydration, water, the medium I spoke about in past videos. You'll see that the water medium, which is the connection to telephone to the universe, you speaking to the universe, comes through the amount of water inside your body. You're putting in too many foreign substances inside your body. Your diet is affecting your sexual health. And this is what's causing you to have a sleep disturbance. Caffeine, which is like a drug, which is a drug. Caffeine, which is a drug, is basically, it's replacing the natural order of energy production inside your body. So you can't naturally produce any energy because you're faking it. You're turning it on. So now the caffeine is causing you to block off your actual time when you need to go to sleep. So sleep disturbances, your mind can't turn off. You haven't had enough attraction. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is called the pericardium time in the Chinese body clock. This is a time for intimacy, affection, attention to yourself, self-care, journaling, meditation, and having sex. Because this is the covering that basically covers the outer area of your heart. And so if you understand that you need sex for cardiovascular health, immune health, all health, you need to have sex. You don't have sex, you're gonna have a problem. Again, sleep. So you can add in sleep. You can add mood, bad mood especially. So sometimes when you have a problem, men, women, partners, couples, put on some relaxing music, have a massage, relax yourself, have sex. Y'all will figure it out. Y'all can figure it out. Let's go to anxiety. Anxiety, then this is a really obvious one because you'll wonder, why do women say, oh, I don't want to have kids. Having kids is not for everybody. No, that if you're a woman, you were made to have some kids. I don't know who told you that doesn't make any sense. If you came here with a program to have some children, I believe that was what you were made for eventually at some point in time and point in space. But your system is not capable of doing that because of what you've done to it. So based on your lifestyle preferences and choices, you're unable to actually have children. And that's why you're saying to cover that point up of your lifestyle and what you've done to yourself. You're saying, having kids is not for everybody. So you're going to be anxious. Anytime somebody comes into an area or to a space, you'll walk around and you'll see yourself as wired the entire time. And it's literally just because of sexual repression. Somebody comes to you to give you a compliment. You can't take it. Why can't you take it? You understand that somebody compliments you, but you feel a restriction to be able to give one back. If you're a woman and a man compliments you, you'll feel violated. If you're a man and a woman compliments you, you'll feel violated. I'm telling you, this is an everyday occurrence. I used to struggle with this. And I had a partner, and my partner said, you can't go to strip clubs, you can't go out, you can't go to any place that would put her in fear of and expose her insecurities, which was awful, because it feels like you're in prison. Whenever you have anxieties that are caused by sexual repression, the issues that I see many people have in terms of sexual repression is because they're not thinking that the trust that they have within themselves is directly affecting everything that's around them and what they're drawing into their screen of space. They're using their imagination to suppress themselves from the experience of pleasure and joy, and that's what's causing them to have so much anxiety in life. Just the simple fact that the repression that they're causing themselves is telling them that they're not safe and they're not okay. So think about, athletes or like the gymnasts who had to suffer from the doctor who was violating them, young people who've been touched inappropriately when they were smaller, and it causes a fear to be exposed throughout your entire body, and it stays stuck inside of your body. So anytime that you feel like you gotta bear it all, because when you have sex, you're essentially bearing it all. You're naked to the actual space. You're easily vulnerable to everything around you. And so when you see that as an instant possibility where you're walking out and you feel violated already because of a lack of trust within yourself, that anxiety is going to show up right there. So you have to look at yourself and really ask yourself, is that repression worth it? Are you repressing the energy that's coming around you, and is it really worth it? Is it really doing you a service, or is it doing you a disservice? It's probably doing you a disservice. You probably just don't know that. But when you have anxiety, always check and see. Really, ask yourself, am I really being my true, authentic self unapologetically? Because if you're not doing that, there's a reason for that. And usually it comes down to something was not done, something was done to you that you have not forgiven, something was done and you have not figured it out outside your head how to get that energy back, how to call that energy back to you. It usually starts with forgiveness. So rape victims of, sexual violation from someone, it starts with forgiveness. No matter how hard it is, you guys gotta forgive. After that, let's keep going. You have relationship insecurity. This is a big problem in sexual repression. So when you have insecurity in your relationship, you don't feel adequate enough. And this happens a lot with men who have a lot. And not only do they have a lot, but what they think is that the stuff that they have is going to be substantial enough to keep a person with them. But that's not true. Let me really get you guys understand this part too. Is that whenever you really look at stuff and things, if you have too many things and not enough substance and character inside of you, nobody's gonna stay with you just because of the car that you got, the mansion that you got. Anybody can go get that. A yacht, that's nice. You can go buy, like I said, a bunch of bags, a bunch of shoes. Women too can do the same thing. The stuff that you have is not going to keep somebody there. It's the person that you are, the energy that you are, the frequency that you're on, the vibration that you're on. You have to understand that you putting out the energy a certain type of way is going to draw the energy right back to you. So however you're being is what you're going to draw back from your partnership. In a relationship, the reason people are so insecure in these relationships is because they haven't done the work for themselves. So your partner may be fit, you may not be as fit, right? Or your partner may be CEO, man or woman, right? Rich and wealthy, and you just don't have the mind. You don't have that mind to participate in something like that. So you're just, either your employee or you're not as prosperous and abundant thinking as they are. It causes an insecurity. And this is a combination where the repression is causing you to feel a certain type of way about yourself. And so now you're looking at yourself in terms of your partner, and you may really, if in anyone else's eyes, you guys are equally matched, right? 10 and 10, or whatever you want to call it. You may look perfect for each other. You may feel perfect for each other. You may have the same type of, some of the same type of goals, but you just aren't getting to them the exact same. And one person is too much in the masculine, one person is too much in the feminine. And because they aren't holding that down, and because they aren't, a lot of this issue can be summed up with happy wife, happy life. Whatever your lady wants, you do whatever. You're like a yes man, or same thing in terms of the woman. She's like just a yes woman, and you can. This is like a historical principle. Like back in the South, in the I'll say in the segregated South, in the slave South, you had masters, white men, who would essentially just take the prettiest slave, rape or have kids with them, children with them, bear children with them, and the master's wives wouldn't say anything. The master's wives couldn't say anything, but they would take it out on the slave women who were being violated by the master, the house slaves and things. They didn't have a voice. So now you already see that throat chakra, the thyroid, it's already being damaged in terms of like genetic, like history, like it's passing down from DNA. And this is like from the slave days. You would see masters that would take two slaves, and they would treat them like cattle, and they would say, well, you guys are the two prizes, so live together and produce some offspring, like they're like sheep, like cows. And so you start to see that was a way of violation. And so you think about insecurity now in relationships and just how prominent this stuff is, especially in African American relationships, households. It's now showing up again, where you see that they used to do practices like they would watch them, like they would buy the slaves and they would watch them have sex to reproduce in front of them. And they would say, you need to do this in front of me. They would watch them do it. It's crazy. Like pornography and things that you see on the internet. It's just a repeat of history. It's all a repeat of history. It's something that's like different. It's real things that have really happened. And these cause insecurity in relationships. Now you see why women are insecure. I'm not saying all white women are insecure or black women are insecure or white men or black men. I'm just saying in general, men and women are insecure in terms of sexual repression because they never actually got a chance to freely express themselves, mainly because of religion and how it made sex so demonic and bad and dirty and shameful for people, even though it's not even in the least bit. So relationship insecurity, all this stuff can be, again, cleansed by releasing. So we're talking about repression, but we'll talk about the actual solution, which is expression. So that's going to be the solution. So that's the cause. The cause is repression, but the effect is going to be down here, and that's going to be expression. All right, so let's keep going. Mental exhaustion. Yes, you get mentally tired. And so we'll actually combine these two. So mental exhaustion and increased fatigue and tiredness. The reason why you have mental exhaustion, increased fatigue and tiredness, literally, you have been contracting yourself the entire time to refuse anything pleasurable that comes into your experience purposely because of your lack of expression. You rather repress because it feels normal to you and it feels safe for you. But listen, if you just allowed yourself to really imagine how would it really feel to have your ultimate fantasy wherever you at, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, actually be fulfilled with the person whom you actually want to fulfill it with, how would that really feel? How would it feel to look the way that you really want to look? Be your dream body and have your dream, be riding around your dream car and living inside your dream house and also having your dream sexual experience on a daily basis. You can do that. But you got to imagine it first. You won't do anything that you don't imagine. Everything happens twice. So if you can't tell yourself, again, that it's right for you to do this, you're going to be sitting there. It's almost like lifting mental weights the entire day. So you're straining your brain the entire day. The entire day you're straining your brain. And you're not even understanding why you're so exhausted. Why are you so tired? Well, that's why you're so tired. That's why you're so exhausted. Because you literally have not given yourself a chance to actually experience happiness in any way, shape, or form. You haven't done it. You told yourself it was okay for you not to have it. So what I believe, again, is when you let yourself release yourself from the hold that you put yourself on. And this is the biggest thing, really, because the answer to all of this, I just did a video talking about, is it pain or pleasure? Your association to sex. So your sexual association, what do you associate sex with? Pleasure or pain? If you have pleasure from sex, you're seeking it out. You'll be seeking it out because you want to have it, because you feel like it fulfills a need and a void where you want to have pleasure, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna have sex because sex makes me feel good. I'm gonna have this void filled. I'm gonna have this thing filled because it makes me feel good. Literally, it makes me feel good. So think about that. Are you associating sex with pain? Because the majority of women that I see, in terms of a relationship or a marriage, they associate it as a chore. And they make it seem like, it's an awful thing, and I'm tired, and they find every excuse not to do it. Even though the man actually needs them to do it, because he can't even show his love and affection and appreciation unless he does do that. He doesn't have any other way. What, he's just gonna buy you another house or another car or tell you, you can have whatever you want? You don't want that. You can get that yourself. You gotta look at terms of substance. Like, I think when people talk about, men, and they talk about providing, it's not just about financial security. It's also about character. It's about knowledge. It's about wisdom. It's about enabling you to grow. It's about helping you to actually get somewhere where you weren't before, helping you to experience the world, helping you to get closer to God. Because if the man is under divine guidance, then a woman can surrender to that man's divine guidance because he's already surrendered to God. So if she's surrendering to the man, she's also surrendering to God. That's how I believe it works. That's how the triangle, you can look at a triangle or a trinity or whatever you want to call it, but I believe that you have the creator up top, then you have the man, and then you have the woman, and then you have the children, and then all the offspring. And it just keeps going. But in all honesty, the man may be surrendered to God first. He may be in the hierarchy like this, but it's just like this because he's pointing to God, and she's pointing to him who's pointing to God. So essentially, she's also pointing to God. So she's surrendering to God, and she's surrendering to God. This guy's going to be up top. The divine spark within them is going to be up top, and everybody else follows suit. So your association with sex and how you feel about sex. Women, if you feel like it's a chore, it's going to be a chore. If you don't worship his penis, I know it sounds crazy, but if you don't worship his penis, then you ain't going to have none of it. And men, if you don't worship her vagina or her breast, or her ass or whatever you want to think about, then you're not going to have it. Because sex is actually a spiritual act. It's not a physical act. It's a spiritual act of connection, of being able to get into a divine spark. And you go into a portal, you enter into a woman, and when you enter into the woman, that's the portal. So we are the source of creation, the man, but we can't do much without the woman. So the woman can't do anything. She's not activated unless she has the man, and the man's not activated unless they have the woman. So that's just how it goes. The man's activated by the woman's activated by the man. So when you see semen is sacred, first of all. So in men, if your semen is brownish, yellowish, it's fragmented, it comes out in clusters, you're too acidic. So you need to change that about yourself, hydrate yourself. Before having sex, men and women both, you should drink a glass of water. The more hydrated you are, the better the experience is going to be. But semen is sacred. You know, someone asked about oral sex. I was reading an actual article, a research article, and talking about semen and retention and also consumption of semen, and how semen does have, you know, small amounts of nutrients and vitamins in it. So if a woman does consume that semen, she's only getting a small, you know, in terms of vitamins and nutrient content, but that's not actually what this is for. You look at semen would be the lifeblood of a man because it's made 2 times a day, midnight and noon. And essentially, this is when a man ejaculates, he loses a bit of his energy. He's supposed to exchange that fluid with the woman, and he takes her fluid and she takes his. So in many cases, when you're freely just ejaculating, or, you know, men, if you're consuming too much pornography and you're just ejaculating freely without any intention behind it, meaning intent behind it, meaning you're not thinking in your imagination, you're just blindly just doing something. It's like a zombie. If you're using your imagination and you're putting like a story, like not an infatuation, but if you're having like an imaginative experience, right? And like a fantasy, that's something that you can place in so that you can manifest something in your future time. But if you just freely ejaculating, you're losing your life force. So you have to retain that. That's what sexual retention actually is. You retaining the semen, the seed. You doing the act is not retention. It's not semen retention. You can do the act and still keep the seed inside of you. Or if you exchange the seed, you can give it to the woman. And it's not wrong for a woman to take your seed orally. She can, if she wants to, because she's taking a collection of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are inside of your cells, because semen has a lot of cells. It has everything in terms of a copy of a program from that man. So if a woman's taking that, women, it's okay. You can take that. Like I say, you can get any, you know, super energy from it, but you are gonna, in a spiritual way, you're gonna be receiving that man still. And the man, you should take the woman's vaginal fluid. However you gotta take it. Just orally, if it's, you know, penetration, but you need to exchange because you're taking that stamp from her, she's taking that stamp from you. If you change your associations with sex, instead of repression, focus on expression. Focus on expressing. Focus on being the person that's expressive. Let that energy flow out. Let people see who you really are. Post a picture. Post a sexy picture. Go get the lingerie. Women, for yourself first, so that you can feel good, look in the mirror. And then you know your man's gonna feel good too, but mainly, and men, go to the gym. There's too many fat men walking around with pot bellies and bad diets and no energy and just a lack of self-care. Focus on self-care. One of y'all gotta do it. If you're in a partnership relationship, one of y'all gotta do it. So look at it from a different perspective. If you associate sex with something that's pleasurable and a joyful, happy experience, I guarantee you'll seek that out and you won't repress yourself so much and release yourself from religious, you know, doctrines and rules and things that they've taught you. Those things were all lies in the first place. And that's what's got people so separated and so afraid to express themselves sexually right now. So sexual expression is freedom. The more you trust yourself, the more you'll be free to express. So practice it. Practice amongst yourself, but don't feel any shame behind it or no guilt behind it. Just feel some joy, some pleasure behind it. If this video helped you, like, share, subscribe, and other than that, catch you guys later.